You are now listening to a 302 Birds podcast experience, proudly powered by Tick Pick, Cutbet, El Diablo Burritos, Nick's Pizza, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street.
What is cracking with it, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode of your favorites, the 302 Mafia, the 302 Birds podcast. Blessed to be here tonight with you guys. A lot to talk about, a lot of buzz in the Philadelphia sports world, including the Philadelphia Phillies finagling their way into the playoffs, looking pretty solid. Let's go. Let's hear it for that. I know Ballpark Tommy's very excited for that. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we get to that, I actually have a very special guest for you guys tonight. A personal favorite of mine. I'm a big fan of his TikTok. Our call-in will be Trips Ahoy tonight on TikTok. So if you guys don't, give him a follow. But without further ado, I'm going to hit our El Diablo intro and kick it to Jackson.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is. Their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302 Birds sent you. God bless, go Birds.
Thank you to El Diablo Burritos, best burritos in town. We have Trip tonight. How you doing tonight, Trip?
I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you guys for having me on, first off. Second off, the intro was awesome, just like you said. So I love to hear that. Yeah, dude, I'm going to pop one of these Siberias in real quick, if that's cool.
Okay.
Hey, by all means, my brother, by all means.
How you feeling about these Eagles and how they're looking this season?
Dude, they're looking great. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? Like, I haven't had an NFL team since I was probably like 11, right? Like, I grew up in Maryland. I've been like all over the place. I moved up here earlier this year, and my family, they were Nats fans, and it looked like the Phillies just took everybody from the Nats. So I came up here, and I was like, fuck, man, like I haven't had an NFL team since middle school. Like, let's just go Philly forever. And 3-0 right now, Birds. Philly's about to make the playoffs again, have another little run. I'm stoked. Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, these Eagles and Phillies are doing really good this season. It was nice to have another Red October. And you know, DeAndre Swift is just it's
fire.
incredible. He's playing so well. I'm still confused why we didn't run him week one. Because he put up past 115 yards the past 2 weeks rushing. So I think this team on paper is better than the Super Bowl team last year. So I'm excited to see what they can do this year. Jalen Hurts is playing well. A little shaky at best, but I think, you know, within due time, we have new offensive coordinator. I think with him kind of getting in the swing of things, I think this season will be turned around, and I mean, we see what happens.
What do you think about? They said Hurts had the flu before the game. You think that was real or fake?
Real,
I don't
real,
know.
not
I
conspiracy
think it was
theory.
real.
I think it was real too. I mean, he really didn't play that bad. Like, honestly, you know, those picks weren't ideal, but I thought he, like, other than that, like, he played well. I heard that they're trying to ban the QB sneak. How does that make any sense?
No, that's bullshit. It's
That's
like just
bullshit.
because you can't go against it, you want to be sad and you want to cry about it. How about the Colts trying to run it and looking like shit? I think it shouldn't be like a thing like where if the Eagles are the only team that are good at running it, and just because the entire NFL hates us, I mean, you ban it. I mean, Fripp, I know you do a lot of research on, a lot of other NFL teams. How are you? Is there a Philly bias? I mean, do people hate Philly fans based on your research?
They do, and I'll tell you what, dude. Like, so I got these are all just folders from other teams, along with the teams that I play against in fantasy football, right? So it's like I'm always grinding. I'm always looking for dirt on people. I'm always looking to see who's hurting, who's weakness, who just broke up with their girlfriend, whose wife left them, all that shit. I'm always on it. And dude, I've been getting a lot of hate too, because all my boys growing up, they're from Maryland, and they're just like all Commanders fans. And I'm just like, fuck you guys. I've talked shit on the Commanders for years. My great grandfather played for the Redskins. Like, my family dropped the Redskins like when like 10 years ago, and we've hated them since. So like it's just been chirping season, dude, for the last
Chirping season.
2 months between me and my boys back home. And
Can I ask you a question as a conspiracy theorist too? We're going to ask this weekend to people. Do you think that – okay, so I'm glad that you admitted you were a Commanders fan. I don't think that Commanders fans exist anymore. Like some people have a theory that birds are like products of the government.
Yeah.
I think Commanders fans are all robots or actors paid by the NFL because there's just not enough of them. And when you meet them, like they got like their sweater tied around their waist. They're like, "Hi, I'm a Commanders fan. Nice to meet you." Like SpongeBob with no like corners type of vibes. I don't know. It freaks me out.
My boy, his family has box seats in the Commanders, and he just goes there like they don't even wear gear, dude. They don't even wear Redskins gear. I guess Commanders gear. Sorry, I'm just used to it. But like, last thing I'll say about that is that when I came up to Westchester, and especially the last couple of game days, all I see is green. You don't see that in Maryland. You don't see that.
Yeah,
So
I
the
mean,
fandom, would you say it's like better than Ravens fans though? Like you're saying
dude.
you don't see any purple?
I mean, I have friends that are Ravens fans. I could never stand the Ravens. I hated them. I hated the Ravens, hated the Orioles. Like Maryland sports is just awful. Dude, actually, speaking of Maryland, this one time I was a freshman in high school, right? And like we had season tickets to Maryland basketball, and they were like preseason number 1. I got in this chirp battle on Twitter with like this guy Melo Trimble, who was like going to be like a top 10 NBA pick, and he was actually supposed to come play me one-on-one in basketball and bailed. This was like this whole ordeal, dude. And oh my god, dude, him and this guy Andrew Terrell, they were going to show up, and they were literally going to bust. They're going to bust people over from different schools to come watch us play one-on-one. And it was this crazy thing. I had a decent following on Twitter at the time. I was probably like 13, and he was going to come play me one-on-one. It just didn't go through.
You were 13 years old, and you were about to play one-on. How do you chirp an NBA player that bad and get under their skin? That's pretty legendary.
I DM'd them on Instagram. It was me. I DM'd the whole team, and I was just saying how much they sucked, and it was embarrassing to be a fan. And next thing you know, they clap back, and it gets onto Twitter somehow, and they're like, "All right, bet we'll come." And it's all this thing. And he rolled his ankle the day before, and he didn't show up. And he was going to come again, but I ruined it, dude, because I said so many things to this guy. And like the University of Maryland athletic director called like my high school athletic director, and it was this whole problem, dude. I got in trouble. My parents took my phone for like 2 months. It was
Wait, you're 13 in high school, or were you in middle school, or like?
Yeah, no, I was a freshman in high school. I was like a year,
Wow.
year younger than everybody.
that's crazy.
Forgot about that. I didn't know that.
About that.
Medium, dude. I wasn't even thinking about talking about that. It just came up.
That's wild, though. Chirp Master Trip. That's gonna be your new nickname, Chirp Master Trip.
Remember back in this guy tweeted in 2013. He was like, had a dream that Nick Foles beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And after that, after the bowl win, it got like 20 million impressions. That was hilarious. People just see in the future now.
They have a third eye.
See in the future, and you had one pick for us, because we're about to move on to our next segment. So I do want to thank you for jumping on here with us, and we'll have to get you on later with us in the season too. But if you could see into the future, Trip, what's your prediction for this weekend for the Birds? You got a score prediction for us?
I don't know.
Yes, he's wearing a robe.
Yeah, he is.
It's a Gucci Versace collab robe.
I got the Versace one over there. I just look like a douche in it. I figured I'd just wear this one.
No, I like it. I think it's pimp.
Dude, honestly, Eagles -5 was such a slam on Monday. I think we'll win by a touchdown or two. I think it's gonna be good. I'm glad that we're at home. I'm looking forward to the tailgate, and I'm stoked. I love the Vic jersey in the back too.
Thank you. Some people, I'm a Pitbull owner too. People always are like, "Wait, you have a Pitbull too?" I'm like, "Yeah." He redeemed for his like actions. He's like apologized a lot. He does a lot of events, but story for another time. But thank you for shouting that out. That's my prized possession.
For sure. Story from the Best Western. Yeah. I took it. Every time I go to a hotel, I take the robe. True story.
Legend.
All right, Trip. Where can we find you at?
At Trips Ahoy on TikTok, at Trips Ahoy on Instagram, and that's all I'm at right now. I'm coming up on 100,000 followers on TikTok. I'd love a follow. Love some more comments and some love. Shout out 302 Birds, Dalt. Thank you, bro. This was a fucking pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all Sunday, and definitely have me back on. This was sick.
For sure.
Dude, more collabs in the future. I love the fantasy advice. I love that you do your research. You know what I mean? You come prepared. That's something that a lot of people don't take the time to do in this world. And fuck the Cowboys, baby.
Yeah, fuck them, dude. Fuck the NFC East besides us.
Agreed.
All right, Trick. Have a good night, and we'll hope to get you on the screen.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good night. Beast. Cool. Well, that bridges us perfectly into our next topic, which is
Time for Phillies talk with Bob Tommy. Finger stitch.
Tommy. We made the playoffs. How you feeling?
Fantastic. It's a revival. Like this year,
he's rolling up the sleeves. You know it's serious,
He's
baby.
rolling up the sleeves.
I'm not sweaty. I'm not nervous in my stomach. I could just enjoy it. I knew they had a week to win one game. They did it last night. As of right now, they're still winning tonight. So there's padding, insurance, whatever you want to call it. The vibes are immaculate. Garrett Stubbs in overalls. The vibes are immaculate. We're going to October. I'm going to crack a brewski or two. I'll tailgate for maybe 20 minutes. And then I go in 2 hours before first pitch. And I just sit in my seats. It's going to be immaculate. Because baseball is the greatest effing sport there is. I don't care what you tell me, Dutch. It is. I don't care what Josh tells me. It is. Hands down.
Jack.
Can't name me a single sport. Or
Football.
Jack can't even tell me. No one can. Because baseball is beautiful. What's beautiful about football? Nothing. It's ugly. It's a lot of men just dogpiling each other. What's beautiful about baseball?
Flashback to freshman year Tommy and tell him that when we won the Super Bowl. And I want old Tom to go interview young Tom with a microphone, and young Tom has probably had a couple beers. Eagles won the Super Bowl, and ask him if there's anything beautiful about football that night.
Okay, you get one night in how many years?
Maybe this year, so maybe we'll have two, right?
Maybe.
I
think opening day for baseball is beautiful, but then football is just it's another week for football.
Okay. I mean, hey, I'll say this as the amateur fan, as Tom likes to call me. I'm excited, man. I mean, there's just something that's so exciting throughout the month of October when the Phillies and the Eagles are both in season. Am I right? I mean, it's just nice to be able to watch both teams and meaningful games. I mean, football is always meaningful in Philadelphia. We know that. I mean, a player takes a shit in Philadelphia and there's a news story about it. But baseball really becomes more meaningful to amateur fans like me when the playoffs start. So I'm really excited to see it. Hopefully we can go out and catch a game as a podcast or something. That would be awesome because I can't wait to see how this place is rocking. New scoreboard, Trey Turner's first season in Philadelphia. I just think that this team got hot at the right time. Like Tom said, they're up right now. And going into the playoffs, they should be ready to have a star-studded, I think, run. I mean, I think minimum for this team would be is it NL, what's the semifinal called in baseball, Tom?
NLCS. You mean the NLCS?
I was going to say that. Damn it. I should have went with my gut. The NLCS.
National League Championship Series.
I didn't fucking know it stood for that. I just got the letters, buddy. Like,
but
DLC.
You gotta get past.
I'm going to tell you what it stands for, but don't go chasing waterfalls. The point is, Red October, though, it'll be cool to be back. And hopefully we can all go as a pod because, like, there's no other better feeling than rocking your Birds jersey and a Phillies jersey on top of it. That's all I got, though.
Fair enough.
Sean, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say to get to the NLCS, you gotta get to the NLDS. So, but yeah, no, I mean it's exciting to see this team I was having flashbacks last night, seeing them pop champagne. And then just hearing the song "Dancing on My Own" just reminisces with me from last year. But yeah, no, I mean it's just really cool to see this team. I think that they could go very far, and it's in their hands. Really, it's in their hands. It's just really exciting. Good atmosphere, good people, good players.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Jack, Ash, anything you guys want to say?
Nothing additional. I mean, I'm just excited to see where this team can go. That's about it.
Sky's the limit for sure. Jack, anything?
Nah,
He's just
I mean,
happy to
glad
be
to see
here.
they're back in the playoffs. Yeah, exactly. I'm so happy to be here.
All right. Well,
Sorry,
I'm
my
going to kick it to our next
connection's
segment
really
then.
fucking up right now. So
It's okay. I'm going to kick it to our next segment, which actually Matt's not here, or Jack is probably going to bust my balls for this. But how about the Sixers going out and getting Kelly Oubre Jr.? I thought that this was a cool move because I learned that him and James Harden have some beef. Apparently, they had the same side chick or something, and now it's Kelly Oubre's wife. So Daryl Morey basically went out and got this guy's side chick, and now she's going to be watching him from the stands. And James, that's awkward. That is an awkward love triangle that's going to have to see each other every home game. So Daryl Morey's not fucking around, is what that tells me. I mean, you embarrass him, he fucking embarrasses you 2 times harder. So I like the signing too. I think he's a good player, but it really is a real fuck you to James Harden, and that's kind of why I want to just touch on it for a second. What do you guys think?
I mean, overall, he's a good player. I like the signing. It's not going to win us a championship, no, but I mean, he's a good player. I got faked out by the news on Twitter saying that we signed Zach LaVine, but obviously that did not happen. But I mean, we'll just see how this season rolls out. I'm not very confident in the Sixers, like any Sixers fan should be, but I like the signing. If you guys saw today that Damian Lillard went to the Bucks, they're going to be the hardest team to beat in the East.
100%, dude. That's going to be tough to beat them.
Yep. That was really my big takeaway, was not the Sixers signing, but the fact that he is now in Milwaukee, and that's just going to make Milwaukee a bear. But I think the signing could be good. But again, I have no faith in that the Sixers are going to do anything more than they have the last however many years. So I'll believe it when I see it.
Dalt,
For
you
real.
know how Josh always says the season doesn't start for baseball until like August or September? For the
I'm
Sixers,
going to call
the
you
season-
JJ tonight, and that's Jack fucking Jr., because you're just taking the words out of his mouth, busting my balls for talking about the Sixers. Go ahead. Let me have it.
No. Hold on. I wasn't going to bust your balls for talking about the Sixers. I actually had a good point here.
Take it away.
The Sixers season doesn't start until the second round because, let's face it, they can't get past the second round. They don't do anything to improve their team, really. Kelly Oubre was the first positive thing that happened to the Sixers this whole offseason. And James Harden wants out. They didn't really get anyone worthwhile to improve this team. They just kind of like got some filler guys, but they needed players to actually improve this team and get it closer to a championship roster. Here, Embiid's great. Maxi's great. But just having the two of them isn't a championship roster. That's a championship duo if you had a decent roster around them. You don't have a supporting cast around those two who could be a sharpshooter, who could be that like closer like Jimmy Butler is like you don't have any of that. But Kelly Oubre is a step in the right direction. I like the signing. I think it's a positive and a step in the right direction. But their season doesn't start till the second round of the playoffs. Otherwise, just stop wasting my time because that's all that they're ever going to do and ever be. The whole point of the process was so then we would stop this cycle of losing in the second round, and they failed miserably at that because all they did was fail in the second round every time.
Yeah, I'm not watching the Sixers until the playoffs.
So you won't watch the Sixers game until April 2024-ish?
Yeah,
That's what I did this past season.
Because all these games leading up to the playoffs don't really matter if we're in the playoffs. And as we know, the past, 5 years, we went to the second round and lost. So I'm going to worry about, you know what? Let me change that answer. It doesn't matter until we get to the second round. I'll start watching because, Kelly Oubre, good signing. We needed a wing. We need depth or whatever. But at the same time, it's like we can sign all these players that, played well somewhere else, and then they come to Philly, and they could play well. They could not. And we'll see, how this works out. But I'm not, my expectations aren't that high.
I think that's a good way to put it too. Like, I hear where you guys are coming from, and I don't blame you guys as fans either, because it has been sucky and frustrating as a fan, and you've been drugged through the dirt. So I really can't blame you guys for thinking.
And I don't even blame the players.
No, I don't blame Embiid at all. I mean,
I blame the
blame
front
a little
office.
bit of Harden.
I blame
I would blame
the front office.
I would blame ownership 100%. I mean, it's been a absolute failure. But enough about the Sixers. We don't got to talk too much more about them.
Yeah, it's fucking Eagles season, baby.
It is Eagles season. And how about this? Some female fans across the NFL have came out and basically said that they feel Lincoln Financial Field and the Eagles tailgating area in general is the most dangerous stadium in the NFL. According to Sportbook Review, nearly half of women say in a poll that they would feel unsafe alone at an Eagles game. And I hear where you're coming at with that. It's definitely not, the most pleasant environment. But what I do want to say is I think that this is exaggerated a little bit, because I think if you asked a woman if there were, 32 other stadiums, I'd be interested to say, hey, do you feel unsafe at these? Because NFL fans in general are kind of crazy. They're a little bit nuts. But I actually talked to a gentleman today named Manny, who's going to be coming on our podcast next week, so stay tuned. He's a former professional soccer player, and he was kind of talking to me about in Romania what sports are like. And I was talking to him. I said, what do you like about Philadelphia? And he said, the passion. And he said, it makes me laugh when a lot of these players will say, we're too hard on them, or we aren't caring enough as fans, because he said in Romania, the way it goes is you can't even buy groceries if your team loses and you play for the team. He's like, these guys will, it's that serious. It's that much of a lifestyle. So I just think that, in my opinion, I feel like this is a little bit of a slight at the Eagles. I mean, we're used to it. It happens to us. But it's definitely, I wouldn't say, the most dangerous stadium in the NFL. I mean, you're going to get harassed, I would say, if you're in a team's other jersey, and harassed verbally. You're not going to nobody's going to lay a hand on you. Nobody's going to, come up and pour a beer on you. I mean, that could happen at any NFL stadium. Your chances of it happening are equal. It's just, I think Philly gets thrown under the bus all the time, and this is yet another slight at the Eagles just to get a storyline. What do you think, Ash?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a hard time with this one. Because to be honest, I don't go anywhere like a professional sports stadium or anything like that alone. Maybe I'm a little bit more of an anxious person, but I would never put myself in a situation like that. I definitely understand that Philadelphia fans are incredibly passionate, but I don't think in my experience it's ever come across as anything more than passion. I think you could go to any of those 32 stadiums or 31 stadiums and potentially encounter a situation like that. I definitely feel like Philadelphia fans are a different breed, and that can be interpreted different ways throughout fan bases. So I definitely think that's something to note, but it is something to consider. And I think people need to kind of be a little bit more aware sometimes. That's nothing against Eagles fans or anybody else, but I definitely think it's something that people should maybe be a little bit more aware about.
I mean, I'm really curious to see what they, deem as safe or not safe. Is it the tailgating when these fans get rowdy and rambunctious when they start drinking at 8 a.m.? I don't think I've heard of a fight that has happened in the Eagles stadium ever. I mean, sure, there's punches thrown or whatever, but nothing too serious. Like what happened in was it MetLife or was it in Miami? The fatal.
It was in Gillette Stadium between a Miami fan and a New England fan.
Yes. So I haven't heard anything fatal. I mean, yeah. So I mean, I don't know what they're gauging this on, and I'm curious to see what the fan base of these women, per se, women are, who they like. Maybe it's a bunch of Cowboys fans that are just trying to throw the Eagles on the bus. But I mean, I feel like anywhere you go, any sporting events, you got to be safe. You got to go with the pack. You got to go with friends. Like, I don't think. I don't think an Eagles fan would lay a hand on somebody unless something was said to them and they reacted. So I don't think, like you said, Don, I think there's a slight to the Eagles fan base, but hey, whatever. We're used to it. Nobody likes us. We're fun. We're from fucking Philly. No one cares.
I want to know how many of them were 49ers fans too, because 49ers fans have been complaining. A lot of them complained. I remember there was a video of, I don't know if it was a player's wife, but it was a female 49ers fan leaving the stadium. And it was just people yelling and just booing. It really wasn't that bad. Nobody's going to ever if somebody put your hands on you, that's where we draw the line. We have a problem with that. And I would say 90% of Eagles fans will stick up for you. You know what I mean? And 99% of Eagles fans, will think that that's the wrong thing to do. A lot of us are good people. You do have those assholes out there, but you have that with every fan base. Like people literally have unfortunately passed away from some of these fights because people aren't taking it serious. And I think it's actually ironic that they published this story the same week that someone dies at another stadium. It's almost like you're trying to get the attention off the Eagles. So it's definitely a slight on the Birds, and it just sucks to feel that way. I actually was going to bring in my girlfriend Alyssa, but she can't make it. And she basically said the same thing, though, that, every NFL stadium, she would want someone else to be with. She said any kind of big event, she felt that way, like sporting event. You know what I mean? I don't think I would want to go to some sporting events alone, especially if it was an away game. You know what I mean? I would never want to go to an away game alone. You'd have to be, I think, a psychopath to do that. You'd have to have balls of steel.
I think the most unsafe I felt was when I was at FedEx Field. That stadium is sketchy. That is.
You felt unsafe because the structure, though. You didn't feel unsafe because the fans.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, Dutch, just look at this past week. You had, after the Minnesota game, some nut job try to run people over in cars because he was frustrated over a Minnesota loss. You had 49ers fans fighting each other in the stands when they were they were just bored with the game. So, I think it is more of a slight at Philadelphia fans. Anytime Philadelphia does one thing, it gets magnified times 10. But anytime any other fan base does it, it kind of gets brushed aside. It's kind of like in a news cycle and gone. Whereas Santa Claus is still in the news cycle 60 years later. Philadelphia can't catch a break with anything. But I saw it on Monday morning, being the Minnesota thing where the Minnesota fan got so pissed he literally was ramming other cars in the Minnesota parking lot after the game. But then I saw nothing come today. It's Wednesday when we're doing this. This is 2 days after the news story first broke, and I can't find it anywhere now all of a sudden. So I think it's a little bit of a recency bias type of thing where it's if you see it so many times in your head, there's psychologists talk about this all the time, and it's part of any business school talks about this nowadays. It's as part of marketing. you see it a million times, that's what you're going to associate with. And your association and your perceptions are realities. And that's what I think is happening to Philadelphia anymore. People replay incidents over and over again, so then you make a perception of Philadelphia, it becomes the reality. When the reality is we're seeing much more severe cases in other stadiums across the country and much more frequent. San Francisco this year, they're like, just even if we exit football for a second, let's go to baseball for a second. And Giants fans and Dodgers fans have been stabbing each other on a regular basis, like to the point like there's always extra security and police presence at both stadiums when they play each other now. Like, I hate the Mets, but I'm not gonna go stab a Mets fan. You don't ever hear of that at ever in Philadelphia. Yeah. You see on ESPN the one guy who was too drunk dump a bottle of water maybe on someone and he's wet the rest of the night, but he's not getting rushed to the ER because he was shanked.
Right.
Or head broken on concrete. I mean, it's kind of nuts what's happening right now, and I'm glad you bring that up too, because it just feels like once again another slight. And I'm glad you bring up Santa Claus too. Coming as a guest on the show, her first time on the live show as a guest, making her debut, Alyssa, my wonderful girlfriend, coming on. You're muted right now, my love. But how do you feel about this as a female? Like, would you feel safe going to any away? Like I said, I would never want to go to a sporting event alone. That's just weird in general. So if you were asked this question, would you feel unsafe going to the Eagles Stadium alone? I feel like it's almost like a doomed question.
Well, I don't know why anyone's going to games alone. I think you need help, and I feel bad for you if you're going to a game alone anywhere. So I guess that's why I've never been in this situation, is I've never gone to the link by myself. It's always been with you or friends or family. So I, of course, have never felt unsafe in the link, especially as an Eagles fan. I was saying the other day, actually, how nice I think the workers at the link are. But I also understand that's because I'm an Eagles fan and Philly people love Philly. So I totally get why people who aren't Eagles fans would be nervous to come to the link. I don't think they should necessarily be afraid or feel that they're in danger. I know Philly fans can be really intense, but I'm wondering if this headline has more to do with the city of Philadelphia rather than the link itself and the Eagles. I think there's just a really bad perspective of Philadelphia elsewhere in the country. People think it's a really dangerous and crime-ridden place. They're just seeing all of those headlines. And I think whatever voting this was done, however people determine this, they were just seeing the city of Philadelphia and thinking of it as a really dangerous place. And so they correlated the link with that. I don't think this is coming from anyone's personal experience. And again, I don't like going to other stadiums. I'm a little nervous, not necessarily for my life or that I'm going to be in danger, but, you know, we went to a Ravens game for just even preseason, and I did act a little different than I would in the link. You know, I wasn't cheering as loud. I wasn't being like I normally would because I was nervous just that someone would give me a hard time, and I didn't want there to be any problems. So I can imagine people think they might run into the most arguments at the link, but I'm not understanding why people say that they would feel unsafe.
Yeah. Once again, a timing thing, I think, too. Like, people were passing away in other stadiums, and I think the media also needs to push it in another direction. But definitely a bunch about that topic. I want to thank Alyssa for briefly jumping on with us to share her thoughts on it, too. As a female NFL diehard fan, she'll be coming to a bunch of tailgates with us this year, and you can also see her Sunday if you come to hang out with us at our tailgate. Any final remarks on your way out? I mean, if you want to hang out, you can and talk about the Eagles, but I know you got stuff to do too, so it's completely up to you.
You know, the only person I'm able to talk about on the Eagles is Boston Scott, and he's out. so I don't have much to say, really. Except I will say, as a girl and as a Taylor Swift fan, my favorite Swift-Kelsey duo is still here in Philadelphia on the Eagles.
I was about to say, if you said Kansas City, I was better.
No.
All right, good.
Although she makes it hard, Taylor.
I guess I have controversial opinions on this.
Yeah, she switched up. She's a traitor. She does make it hard to support her.
Taylor Swift grew up literally 15 minutes down the road from me.
Same with me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Sean too.
Yeah, no, Andy Reid definitely pulled those strings for the because he knew the Swift family. He pulled it when he was in Philadelphia to get that over at Kansas City. That's what they're talking about on the Kelsey podcast today.
I mean, she's a lyrical genius, but if she's betraying the birds for real, then I'm not sure if I can forgive it.
Now we're gonna see Donna Kelsey Part 2 wearing Kelsey with Taylor Swift.
I would be okay with that.
The breakup T-shirt's gonna go crazy. I'm confident.
No, they're not breaking.
I can't wait for the song.
True love, Doug.
She's about to drop a fire album once they break up, if they are dating.
They're
just
not
hope
breaking
it
happens
up.
Super
True
Bowl
love,
week to get in his
Doug.
head.
Tommy's a Swiftie fan.
Anyways, Alyssa, thank you for jumping on with us. We appreciate you as always, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
You know,
And real quick before we move on, I did want to show a clip. I do have some evidence for you guys. Does this female look uncomfortable at our home stadium? This was last year.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Dalton from 302 Birds out here early in the morning at Lincoln Financial Field with Hermina. She's got on this. I can't even look at it. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Let me ask you something. How do you go around so proud in an area like this with so many Eagles fans talking so much shit? I know they're already talking shit.
You know, listen. You know what they say? That only a good-looking woman can wear a Cowboys uniform. You understand what I'm saying? The Eagles, I'm a good-looking. I gotta wear Cowboys. I can't wear a bird. They shit because they be shitting everywhere.
Oh my God! Come on. Hey, come on.
You see, we came here for war, and for the past 5 games with the Eagles, we beat them.
But that changes today because you know why, Hermina? 281 days. It's been 281 days that I've had to listen to your fans.
And listen to this. They didn't play the Cowboys yet. Today's the day. It's the Super Bowl. Are you ready?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl for Cowboys fans is literally playing us in the regular season. Proof, but I just wanted to show that clip before we move on to show. I think Cowboys fans and NFL female fans seem pretty comfortable at our home stadium. Shout out to Hermina. If you come to the stadium again this year, come say what's up. I love that energy. Moving along, though, to our next topic of the night. Are you ready for trivia too, Jack, if I want to kick that off now too? All right, cool. Moving it right along to
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dalton, the mayor of Delaware.
Thank you to TickPick for that sponsorship. Tonight's question we got for you today. Which Philadelphia Eagle was the first ever to rush for 1,500 yards in a single season? Which Philadelphia Eagles player ran 1,500 yards for the first time in a single season? I'm waiting for this thing to speed up because we got A, Van Buren. And hold up.
Well, the Waters is A.
Hold up. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right, here we go. I'll read it again. Who was the first Philadelphia Eagle to rush for 1,500 yards in a single season? A, Ricky Waters. B, Herschel Walker. C, Wilbert Montgomery. Or D, Steve Van Buren. We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Moving along now to week 3. We obviously wanted to go down to Tampa Bay. We couldn't make it this year. Hopefully, if the Eagles play the Bucs next year, we will be able to make it. But a big game for the Eagles. Shout out to my guy, Esri. I think I said it right. But super nice guy. He's the guy that's always at the Eagles games in the construction hat. And he brought it up on his Facebook that we haven't beat the Buccaneers since like 2012, 2013 or something crazy like that. So this was a really redeeming, refreshing win. Jalen Carter comes out. He looks pretty solid. We'll get to that as a topic in a few. I'm so glad that Ashley decided to put her boy on here, Sidney Brown. He had a great couple tackles as well. So, I mean, this seemed like a more complete game than we've seen. Still a lot to work on. But hey, a win's a win, and especially 3 wins are 3 wins. You know what I mean? When you stack them up together, it looks really good. But what were some of your guys' biggest takeaways from this game? Some things to improve on, some things that were positive.
Yeah, like we said last week on the episode, week 1 was really shitty weather, pouring down rain, very disgusting. No one really could get it going. Week 2, we literally had 3 days off, and then we played on Thursday Night Football. And then week 3, we had 10 days to rest. So the biggest concern I had going into this week was, hopefully we can be able to run smoothly in Brian Johnson's offense of scheme, and also Sean Desai's defensive scheme. And I think we came out swinging. And like we said, we came out like a bullet. 25-11. I knew we were trying to get AJ Brown a tutty. Didn't work out. But again, we saw DeAndre Swift pop off yet again. Like I said, week 1, he had 1 carry for like 3 yards. Week 2, he had, I forget how many carries he had, but for 175 yards.
28.
Yeah, and then this week he had 130 yards, something like that. So
it was it was like 28 for like 175, and then like 18 for like 137 or whatever it was.
Right. So he's an RB1 without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And that hurdle he had, oh my God, that was beautiful. That was
best play of the game.
That made me cry a little bit. But they just looked like they were gelling a lot better. Like I said, those 10 days really helped us out getting those new schemes we had. And like we said, we'll talk about Jalen Carter a few topics, but he played like out of his mind this last game. And then Olimad Zacchaeus with the touchdown, the dot from Jalen Hurts, like that wasn't expected at all. I wish I put a bet on anytime touchdown from him, because the week before that I had an anytime touchdown for him and he didn't get it. So it's still early in the season, but I feel like this team is finally coming around for sure.
I think this defense looked magical. This defense was great.
Yep.
Aside, he's a genius. I love him. He's a great defensive coordinator so far. Eric, could you imagine if last year's defense had him as their coordinator? Could you imagine what
night and day different? Night and day different, baby.
It's so much better. It's so much better, this defense, compared to when Gannon was running it. The passing game needs some help still, but I think in due time it will get there. Brian Johnson, I'm hoping will get better, and it's just having some rough patches at the beginning of the season. I'm going to put a positive spin on it because they won. So I'm just saying that they had some rough patches. The only glaring negative I saw from this game was my boy Job and Ash. I know I made a lot of biblical jokes during the game. We were all texting about this, but my boy Job is not the chosen one from God in this case. He my guy was getting burned left and right. For my shout out to my Catholic school buddies out there that know the book of Job.
Because it wasn't a fucking book, it was a fucking pamphlet.
Oh my God,
Tom, you were cracking me up the whole game, going from no biblical names, like we just need to take biblical names out of the birds altogether.
Zacchaeus dropped the pass too, like in the first quarter.
And then Matthew
later,
touchdown, and it was all forgiven.
Zacchaeus was in that tree, baby.
He was in that tree. See, Jack his Bible. See,
something like that. Zacchaeus climbed the tree and saw Jesus. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact phrasing of it.
So he climbed the tree. You know who the Jesus is nowadays? Jalen Hurts. He saw Jalen Hurts.
Wanted to get a look at Jesus. Jesus asked him to come down, and so he could redeem Zacchaeus of his sins.
All right, that's enough out of you, Tom.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough about Father Tom for tonight. But Job was getting burned left and right. I would have loved to see Eli Rex maybe get in, mix him in a little bit more. Sidney Brown looked awesome. But yeah, Job ain't it.
Ain't no fucking Book of Job. That would be a cool T-shirt. It sucks because that would be a really cool T-shirt to wear.
I will say one last thing. Kelsey looked tired for sure, and that kind of scares me. They were on the field a lot because the defense played well.
Yes, and supposedly him, AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts, they were all sick.
Yeah,
because I read that Kelsey was under the weather too. So I don't know, but
I'm chalking it up to illness more than he didn't really worry me that much towards the end of the game. Plus, he said he felt
it's hot as
better
fuck down there too. Right. And I don't know if anybody saw the podcast clip that dropped this week where him and Travis were literally asked, "Would you rather play in heat or cold?" And Jason said, "Your body just shuts off at some point." So I think get that shit out of the way early. The colder, the better for him. So it's only going to get better. He said he doesn't get tired in the cold. So I think it probably had to do a little bit with the humidity. But I definitely noticed it too. You're right. Like, it was noticeable.
But I don't think it's a real concern, like, going forward, personally.
I mean, we're about to have a beautiful day Sunday for Eagles football. 78 and sunny, baby.
Woo! Fit checks are going to go crazy, busting out the shorts and the jerseys. Sean's fit checks coming back. Grizzly Bear, what's going on, handsome? How you doing, buddy? Hope all is well. But Jack, you brought it up earlier. I want you to go ahead and take it away first. Confidence in Jalen Carter, beast mode so far.
Oh, my God. 1,000%, dude. He is, night and day. When he's on that field, holy shit, that defense is just vibing. And the fact that he had that strip, punch out and we recovered it. I mean, that just tells you how good this guy is, how good he is. And I mean, again, I listened to the Kelsey podcast today and they were just praising Jalen Carter. He's a young buck. He's, stepping up, filling some big shoes. I think the D-line is going to be in safe hands once, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham leave. But yeah, dude, Jalen Carter, he's just a different being, dude. He makes me happy. He makes my heart warm. So I can't wait to see this guy, play a lot more, throughout the season. And we didn't mention it, but Nolan Smith, when he fucking crushed, the quarterback, that was beautiful. Oh my God. Like, this young defense that we have, I am so excited for the next couple of years. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so I saw some statistics on Jalen Carter. I mean, just my personal. This is just my personal right now, but yeah, no, he's a dog. He really is. But in his last 3 games, he has the most pressures of any DT in the league, most hurries of any DT, and 3rd most in the entire league, tied for the most forced fumbles at 2 in any defender in the league, and pass rush rate when at a 21.9% through 76 pass rushing snaps. So that's just through 3 games. Just imagine what he could do out through a whole season. And he's a rookie. Yeah. He's the next Aaron Donald. He's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's a dog. He's the best pick out of the whole draft, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah, he played great. I mean, between him and all of the other defensive, either rookies or second-year early vets that are playing, our defense looks incredible. I would also just like to say that I, on my own, made him player of the week. So he had to play really darn good for me, who I'm not the biggest fan of his. That's well known on this podcast, to make him the player of the week.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe you're warming up. I mean, he's been playing very good football, very hard not to like him football. Is maybe a good way to put it. We'll see. Baker midfield, though, coming in clutch. Sorry, Josh. I wish he was on the show so he could back him up. Moving along, though, to our next topic. Rough in the red zone. It definitely got that way. I mean, the offense looked very explosive at times. Getting down the field looked very easy at points. And then at a certain extent, at a certain level, it got really rough down there. I mean, Sean, I see you nodding your head. Why don't you go ahead and take it first? What were your thoughts on this, and what could they do to improve upon it?
Yeah, so they really couldn't convert the ball too well. And when they got down to the red zone, they just couldn't find it. There's a bunch of targets to obviously AJ Brown, and he dropped 2 balls in the end zone, but that's not even the problem. I just don't know if they were playing a defense and just the play calling was just off or whatever, but I think they'll be fine down the stretch. They'll find ways to just convert and going for that 4th and 2. I mean, that's big balls Sirianni right there. But I mean, I don't agree with the play call that Brian Johnson / Sirianni called. I think they could have drawn something better, and especially maybe even using Swift there instead of Kenny Gainwell. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think they'll get better at it. But yeah, they just couldn't convert.
Yeah, they look like shit when they got down there in a lot of ways. They look like they stalled.
Yeah, all of a sudden it looked like they wanted to just do like these like cutesy like crossing patterns rather than like practice their positioning and all that stuff. And they also didn't want to play smash mouth football all of a sudden anymore. But like later in the game, all of a sudden they figured out, oh yeah, I guess Swift can take a handoff in the red zone. And they hand the ball off to Swift, and he's getting 15 yards, and then the touchdown. Then they're doing the what do we call it? The brotherly love shove or something like that.
Yeah,
tush push.
No, we're canceling that out. It's called the
they're
brotherly
canceling-
shove now.
Oh.
Yeah, the brotherly shove.
Okay,
Jack, I got it.
I'll have to send you the picture of Colin's graphic that he made. He crossed out tush push and put brotherly shove. Kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, hey. Oh, sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh no,
No, Tom, go.
Oh my God, stop sucking each other off.
No, all I gotta say is, when DeAndre Swift's hot, still feeding the ball. I mean, I know he gets tired and things like that, but like Kenny Gainwell is not that back, and DeAndre Swift is that back. So when the beast is hungry, feed him, and that's what we got to do. I mean, they can't seem to stop DeAndre Swift at all. So don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give it to him. I mean, yeah, they're playing scared in the red zone. I don't know if it was because they were exhausted because they were on the field majority of the game. I think the time of possession was like almost 40 minutes for the Eagles and like 25 for the Bucks. So yeah, they're probably tired, but I mean, you can't play scared in the red zone. The red zone is where it matters. That's where you get your good plays in and get that push to the end zone. So we just gotta somehow fix that and change it up a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
And I know DeAndre Swift's looked really good the past couple of weeks, but you got to shout out that O-line, baby. He's getting holes, explicit.
Holes that anybody could run through, to be fair.
Yeah, that my grandmother could walk through. Like they were just insane. I mean, it makes him look better than he really is, I'm sure. But, I mean, he's still a great running back. But, yeah, the offensive line, best O-line in the league, baby.
Yeah, agreed. They're definitely looking solid. Somebody said in an interview that if Joe Burrow was behind this offensive line, he thinks that Joe Burrow would be the best QB in the NFL. And I thought about it. I don't think that's that hot of a take. Real quick, I do want to take a quick second too. If you guys haven't noticed tonight, if you haven't looked at my shirt, and if you haven't noticed it quite clearly, and if you didn't see the thumbnail, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Not quite yet. It actually starts Monday, I believe, October 1st, if that's not Tuesday or Monday. But,
Monday's the 2nd, buddy.
Starts Sunday. You got the fucking calendar police in here.
Yeah.
The point is, we're helping raise a little bit of money. We got some new shirts in the bio. These are ones from last year. So if you really like these, I actually have them back this year. So if you do like the breast cancer symbol with kind of like the bird wing on it per se, you can get these. The link is in the bio. But we also have a brand new shirt that Colin helped us design. Big or small, save them all. So 25% of profits are benefiting breast cancer research and breast cancer awareness. So please get a shirt if you can. Represent the podcast. And they're pretty affordable too. So the link is in the bio. And that will explain, if you're wondering why the podcast is pink all month long, that's why. So join along and cop a shirt if you can. Cool. Yeah, moving along.
Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is not looking like Jalen Hurts last season. And I don't know if that's due to Brian Johnson, new offensive coordinator, or what. But 2 interceptions in one game. That's not the Jalen Hurts we watched last season. Granted, whether or not he was sick, I'll give it to him. And he has, total of 6 interceptions this season, which is not Jalen.
Last season.
Oh, last season. 3. Okay. Well, and then what I've noticed a lot lately is it seems like he's resorting back to the old Jalen when we lost to the Bucs, where he is rushing out of the pocket way too soon. And maybe it's because we're missing Malu on the right guard, or what. But it's just, I mean, granted, he's played well, but not the best we've seen. So there's big question marks on Jalen Hurts. I'm not too worried about him throughout the season, but I don't know what the deal is right now.
I'm also just going to throw out there that he did not play in the preseason, and the game 1 was in terrible weather. So I kind of was treating this as his game 2, just in terms of like getting started. I will say there definitely were times that we were seeing glimpses of that old Jalen. So I'm hopeful that hopefully next week, they will kind of get to it. My boyfriend I don't remember which play, I think it was one of the plays that he ended up throwing an interception on, that he just looked like he was running for his life. And he said something that concerned me more than slightly. He said he looks a lot like Justin Fields out there.
Oh God.
Ooh, that's a dagger to the heart.
And it was really just because he was running for his life when he really didn't need to. And I think it was more just like he's running where he shouldn't be running. But again, that's just something that I was like, we're not going to compare the two of them because they should not be compared at all.
Right. Agreed.
It's not been a good look. I mean, he hasn't looked the way that he looked last year. And here's the thing. I understand that there's that awkward transition to the new offensive coordinator. And I did say McNabb said that. But even last game, it felt like there were a couple missed opportunities. He's definitely been improving upon it. But yeah, I mean, like Ryan Swoop said, they definitely didn't run it as much as they did last year. So it is nice to see as a fan the balance, like you point out, Ryan. They need to keep it up because, yeah, it keeps other teams on their heels. Okay. So I think Jalen said the other day, he put it best. He said, when are we not going to keep the main thing the main thing? And when is winning not ever been the main thing? So I don't really think Jalen Hurts cares about how many interceptions he throws. Something like you get to halftime and you have 1 minute left and he shoots a shot and they get a pick or something. I don't think he cares because they are that laser focused on winning a Super Bowl. He knows if he focuses and locks in, he can win he can win an MVP. He's that talented. There's plenty of time for him to do that in his career, in my opinion. I think he knows that his window to win a Super Bowl is going to close sooner rather than later. So fingers crossed. But like you said, keeping the main thing the main thing.
And I will say it's good it's happening early on in the season because when we hit the gauntlet, the 3 weeks where it's a hard game, hopefully we don't have that kind of gameplay that he's playing. I mean, like I said, he's not playing awful. He's not playing awful at all. Just a little concerning. So it's going to matter when we have the gauntlet and see how we can, fare for that.
For sure.
I'm sensing a lot of nervousness out of this chat about Jalen and how he's not the same Jalen. I feel like going into last season, our expectations were he's average. Now, after reaching a Super Bowl, our expectations are he's a god. And now all of a sudden, like, that he's not throwing dime after dime, perfection after perfection. We're saying our once godlike figure is showing cracks of humanity, like all of a sudden. And like all of a sudden the world could come crumbling down because God may not exist anymore. That took a very existential turn. Sorry about that.
The idols in the church.
I know. It's Father Tom all of a sudden. I'm on my religious side tonight. I'm sorry, guys. But long story short, I don't think it's that much of a concern. Every quarterback around the league seems to have like started really slow this season, and I think it's because of the whole, as Ash alluded to, no preseason games whatsoever. You just practice, you didn't have any of those in-game reps that you get that you can honestly only simulate in a actual game environment, because the speed between practice and a game are two totally different things. So that being said, I'm not highly concerned, given I don't like a lot of the looks that the new offensive coordinator is giving him, and B, he didn't really get that much time in the preseason. Like, he didn't get any time in preseason games. And C, he's still like leading. Like, if we wanted to talk about the only comparison we should be making between Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields is that despite not playing up to full potential, one is leading a team to victories and one is looking to dish out blame. And Jalen is still the same Jalen in that sense of he's taking full ownership. He's building upon himself each and every day. And as he said in his presser, I think it was on Monday. Hey, he's like, God built many chapters for him, and each day is just a new page that he's willing to read in that chapter, and he's building upon it every day. So I have no concerns about Jalen whatsoever. I think he's doing just fine, and he's going to get it figured out.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. Like I said,
I'm not worried at all.
It's the beginning of the season, so it's cool to get these now. But anyway, we got an NFC East rival coming up this next week at Lincoln Financial Field. We're taking on those goddamn commanders, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. How we thinking this team's gonna be? Sam Howell's playing pretty damn well.
Last week he didn't.
Okay, but last week, yeah, but the previous 2 weeks he's been playing.
Last week he threw like 4 interceptions. So,
how are we feeling about this? Upcoming week. How we? Just tell me. Pick your brain a little bit. Talk to me, please.
Me?
Talk to
Whoever.
me.
I'll talk about it. So Dalton and I will probably be down there. Dalton for sure. And yes, I will be down at the tailgate. But hopefully this is not the same as last year where they come into Lincoln Financial Field and poop on our party, basically. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. It's going to be nice weather. They're going to be feeling good. They're going to be back in midnight green, back in front of the home crowd. And after last week's performance by Sam Howell, like I said, I feel like the defense is going to put it on them, basically. They're going to have a lot of rushes, and, they're going to have a lot of pressure on them. So, I feel like the Eagles will come out with a win. I am tired of saying that it's going to be closer than everybody thinks, because that's how everybody's thought about it the last 3 weeks. After this week's performance, Monday night against the Bucs, because we know the Bucs have a good defense, I'm thinking this is not even going to be close. I'm thinking a good 31 to 37 points by the Eagles and like 14 by the Commandos. That's it.
So now, who's going to be your MVP of this game?
A.J. Brown. He's finally going to get his touchdown.
I like that. I mean, I'll go next, and then we can just go around horn. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, the Commanders aren't that good of a team. They got a little better this year. But, Eagles, my pride and joy. I love this team. I think we're gonna play. One thing that I've noticed the past 3 weeks, we've been getting progressively better. Yes, we have a few turnovers here and there, but it's week 4. I think this is going to be a win for the Eagles, obviously, and I'm thinking that DeAndre Swift's going to go off again, Devontae Smith, but my MVP of this game is going to be Dallas Goedert. I think he's going to pop off and play really well. He got some receptions last game. He's been kind of silent the past 3 weeks, but got some receptions here and there. But yeah, my score prediction for this game, I'm going to go with 35-14 Eagles.
I'm gonna do a 180 on everybody else. I still think we're gonna win the game for sure. However, it does not matter how good the Eagles are, how bad Washington is, whatever their team is called at the time. There is something about that division rivalry that Washington plays us hard every stinking time. That's one of the few losses that we got last season was because, who knows if the players weren't prepped for it. I don't know. But we definitely handily lost the one game. So my thing is, I think it's going to be close, closer than we would like. I'm going to go 21-10 Eagles, and I have Devontae Smith as my MVP.
Like you said, Ashley, they gave us our first loss last season. So
They did. And they always play us hard. I don't know what it is, but consistently they play us hard, even in the years that they're terrible. So
Agreed. Tom.
I think I heard this take on WIP. I think it was
Can you move your hand for your mouth because I can't hear you? Thanks.
I think it was John Ritchie that said that this morning. And I'm going to do this just to piss Jack off just for a little bit. I think he said Ron Rivera, and I couldn't agree with it more. Ron Rivera is an old school type of coach. He wants that. He's like that guy, like that grade school tackle coach where he's got the tobacco in his mouth and it's like, that's some good damn football right there. That's some smash football. He wants the battles to be won in the trenches. So I don't think he's going to let like a DeAndre Swift run all over him like we've seen the last few weeks. I think he'd rather test Jalen Hurts as the thrower rather than give up big running gains consistently throughout the game. So I think he's going to try to neutralize DeAndre Swift as well as he can. I think he's going to stack the box all game long. And he'd rather dare Jalen Hurts to beat him over the top than give up even an inch in the trenches. So at the end of the day, I still think we have the better offensive line compared to their defensive line and vice versa. Like our O-line and D-line is superior to theirs. And we'll win those battles. That being said, I don't think you're going to see DeAndre Swift run for 150 yards again this week. I think it's going to be more like he might get 70, maybe. You're going to see Gainwell have some more impact, maybe. But you're going to have to see Jalen throw the ball downfield. And if he can't figure it out with Brian Johnson again this week, it could be a close game.
Tina, you're up.
Brian Johnson should be scared of Brian Robinson. Other than that, you guys pretty much took all the words out of my mouth. I mean, I thought that Washington would prove pretty well last week against Buffalo. They got. That was probably the third worst ass whooping this week. There were a couple of them. Me and Ash were talking about it before the show. I mean, Miami, number one.
KC.
Kansas City, Taylor Swift effect, number 2. And then number 3, there was this team. I mean, the 3 ass whoopings of the week, like I said. I don't think Washington is going to bounce back well. Jalen Hurts is going to be a little bit salty, I think. That we lost this game at home last year. There's a little bit of bad blood. and I do think that the Eagles should win by at least a touchdown. So if you guys want to bet along with me this week, shout out to our friends at Game Theory Picks. My pick of the week this week is I'm picking the Eagles to win by at least 6.5 points. So minus 6.5 birds. I think that they'll win at least by 10 points. But the odds on that were pretty good on DraftKings. I think I put down $23 and I might win 83. So if the Eagles win by a touchdown or more, I'm gonna win some pretty good money. So stay tuned. And I also took the over on 44.5 points. I do think that the Eagles should put up 30 or more points, and I think that the Commanders will put up at least like 20.
And I also like to add earlier what Jack Dordan said himself about Dallas Goedert having a game. It's his revenge game, baby. He got that face mask called on last season, and he got hurt for a couple of weeks. So I think he's ready to go out there and show him who the real Dallas Goedert is.
Couldn't agree more. All right, wrapping this show up, we got my favorite topic.
Time for everybody's favorite part of the show, 302 Trivia, with your host, Jack Dordan, the mayor of Delaware.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, TickPick, for that sponsorship. Tonight's question we got for you is, which NFL Eagle rushed for 1,500 miles? Wow. Yards in a single season. Which Philadelphia Eagle rushed for 1,500 yards in a single season? We got A, Ricky Waters. We got B, shit. Who's B?
Herschel Walker.
We got C, Montgomery. I forget his first name. And then we got Wilbert. And then D, we got
Steve Van Buren.
Yeah, Steve Van Buren. Sorry, guys. Round drum roll, please. Correct. Oh, I'll tell you who was right, but no. Ashley said Montgomery. Correct.
Woohoo!
Sean said Montgomery. Correct. Matt Fredkin, not on the show. He's being a little bitch with a headache. Montgomery. He's correct. Dalton didn't tell me anything. And
yes, I did.
Where?
Wait, I texted it to you.
Oh, you said D. No, Van Buren. Nah. And then Tommy said Montgomery. That is correct.
Fuck.
Oh, Matt's still on. Right. Matt's still on. Shit. Yeah, Matt, you're a pussy.
Did any of the fans get it right?
My head. I didn't see any answers.
Wait, so if Matt's not here and his answer was in the comments, does Matt not get credit and the fans get?
No, Matt texted him.
Yeah, Matt.
I'm busting his balls. Don't worry, I'm
just
busting his balls.
Fan. He's part of it.
I know. I'm just busting his balls.
Matt Fredkin, you are a little bitch because your head hurts a little bit. So I hope you get better, and I miss you on the show.
Yeah, we do miss you for real, Matt. But yeah, without further ado, that's all we got for you guys. I just want to reiterate one more time. Please, please, please go buy these breast cancer awareness tees. The link is in the bio. Once I get one in person, I'm going to go model it for you, or maybe I'll get somebody more beautiful than me to go model it. I don't know. The point is, they are for sale, and they benefit a great, great cause. 25% of profits we will be donating to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation for both shirts. So even if you like the 2021 one, the 2022 one that I have on right now, you can cop it. So please, please, please go get them.
If you care to save the tatas, please buy a shirt from us, please. Without further ado, Josh fell asleep tonight, so he's a little bitch. But without further ado.
But I bet you would have remembered all the choices to the trivia.
Yeah.
And we'll get a score update next week, too, I just want to say. Yeah. Sorry, Jack. I'll figure that out next week. We just had a busy week this week, guys, so sorry. And come tailgate with us Sunday if you're listening to the pod. G2.
Matt Fredkin, like I said, you're a bitch for not being here. Josh, you're a bitch for not being here. But without further ado, hey, Josh. It's an outro, not an intro. Hit that motherfucking outro. I'm the bitch.
Go Birds.
Jack, at least I can remember my first name.
15.